All right, one of the biggest challenges that you'll face as someone doing something creative is getting stuck and not having an idea of what you want to actually do. And I mean, like, so for example, when you open up Blender and you just see the cube, for example, the biggest challenge is getting that and turning that into something that is nice to look at. And so I think just having ideas and having inspiration plays a big part in that, and how easy it is for you to just transform nothing into something. So in this one, I'll just talk about how to maximize the number of ideas you get, maximize inspiration and motivation to create stuff, and inevitably when you get stuck, the things you can do to maximize your chance of getting out of that and actually making something that looks good. I'll tell you all the strategies that I use when I get stuck like this. To maximize the number of ideas you have, I think the number one thing you can do is just consume as much cool, interesting content as possible. The easiest thing to do is whatever social media you use the most. For me, that's Instagram. Just curate your feed so that when you go on there, all you see, like the only people you follow, the only people you see is just cool art stuff, for me, for example, or just cool whatever you like that's going to give you ideas. Make it only that, and then anytime you're going to use social media, which you will, all you see is just stuff that is going to give you cool ideas. So that's more so if you're struggling with this, I would recommend that. If you know you already have enough ideas, then that you don't really need to worry about. And same thing with like the kind of stuff you do, like for entertainment. Like for example, if you're gonna watch a movie or play a game, you know, you kind of have two options a lot of the time. One is like the thing that's going to be maximally entertaining, and then the other is like the thing that's going to give you like the most ideas that isn't necessarily as entertaining but still is entertaining. So what I mean is like the more you can choose the option that's maybe not the maximum entertainment but will give you the maximum number of ideas, that is like pretty much a free hack to just get more inspiration and motivation to go and make art. Yeah, just anytime you're going to do something entertaining, you might as well just pick the one that's also going to give you ideas. You get entertainment both ways, except one of them gives you ideas. Okay, the next thing I have on this list is be organized. So there's other videos on that, on how to organize your windows and workflow and all that stuff, but also just like on Windows or on Mac or on the files, like on your computer files, make sure all that is just structured in a way where you don't have to like spend a lot of time looking for stuff. Keep the asset browser organized, all that kind of stuff. Keep your room organized. Let's talk about what happens when you open up Blender and you've done all this and you still just don't know what to do. Like you open it up, you see the cube, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. This happens to me all the time. And what I do when I get stuck at this point is I usually open up Instagram and I go to my saved folder straight away. And what I'd recommend doing is just when you curate your feed so that it's only like cool stuff that you see, what happens is you'll just start like saving stuff. So on Instagram, for example, there's just a save button, and then anything you hit save on will just get added to like a big folder of your stuff. And then what happens is after a week of doing that, month of doing that, year of doing that, you have this massive folder of just only the most cool stuff that you've ever seen in your life, all in one place. So what you can do is just go into that folder, and then you're pretty much guaranteed to find something that's going to give you at least some little spark of something to go off of to create some artwork. You know, it could just be some cool color you see. It could be just a cool camera angle. It could be some interesting shape, or maybe a whole type or style of environment or thing that you want to make. But the point is, like, if you just have a massive folder of only the coolest stuff that you've ever seen all in one place, if you visit that, your chance of getting, you know, some kind of creative spark is much, much higher than if you don't have that. So that's the first thing I'll usually do if I'm stuck. The next thing that you can try, this is a cool little trick to get just kind of push through sometimes, is you can go through your old work. So something you've created in the past or something you've recently made, doesn't really matter if it's new or old, just something that you've made in the past. And you can look through that and see if there's anything that you could do better or improve upon now. So for me, sometimes I'll go through an artwork that I made like 2 years ago and I'll just recreate the entire thing just better. And that, you know, it's kind of like an easy win because it's something that's guaranteed that you can do because it's something you've made before. You can just do it better. But the only thing is, like, obviously don't do that so often that you don't get better. Like, you'll have to push through and actually get new ideas sometimes. But once in a while, like when you're really stuck, that I do just do that sometimes. Another thing I do once in a while is just literally go to an old file, like an old artwork, open the blend file, append every single object from that file into my new file, and then just, move the camera angle around, swap out some textures, add new models in, change the blending a little bit, and before you know it, you have a completely new image. But it's like the time it took you to get there is like so much smaller than creating all that from scratch again. So that's, again, a little bit, cheaty. I wouldn't recommend doing that all the time, but for those days where you just got nothing and you just need to make something, it can be a really, really powerful way to just create something new really fast. Okay, the next thing on this list is when you're stuck like this and you've tried everything, sometimes all you need to do is just sit down, put some music on, and just actually focus on what you're doing. This is a problem for me sometimes. Sometimes I'll be sitting there just kind of half-assing what I'm doing in Blender and just not really taking it too seriously. Like, maybe I'll have like a video open in the background, or I'm not, like, things are just disorganized and it's just a mess. So sometimes the best solution is just close everything, put your phone away, just put on some music, and then just sit down and just tell yourself, like, okay, I will just sit down and focus for an hour straight and just get something done. A lot of the times that's all you need to just get into the zone, and then once things get rolling, it's just easy from there. But it's getting into that state where you're just actually working on something that is tough sometimes. So sometimes that's the solution to get something, is you just force yourself to just be focused for a little bit, and then after that everything just flows. But getting into that stage is tough, so if you just force yourself to do that, sometimes it'll work. Pro tip for music, if you just pick, like, for me, I love listening to EDM, but for creating artwork, sometimes listening to like extreme dubstep isn't the best thing for me. So I love listening to just this genre called future garage. So some people call it like hacker music or like study music. I guess it's good for hacking and studying, but it's also really good for just creating artwork. So a future garage playlist is, anytime I put that on, it's like my chance of making something good is like, I know it's much higher. I don't know why, but it just is. So just pick music that you know is going to be good for you, like being productive, and just put that on and then focus. Okay, if all else fails, you can ask ChatGPT for ideas, or use Midjourney to generate some concept art for you and then make something based off of that. So sometimes what I do, if I'm very desperate to get some sort of idea, is just open up ChatGPT. Just say, like, I'm feeling the vibe of like this movie or this game. Can you give me some ideas that would kind of fit that vibe? And it'll just spit out a bunch of ideas for you, and you can just pick something there. Maybe that will give you some kind of starting point at least to go off of. And then finally, if all else fails, everything else you've tried fails, sometimes you just have days where you just don't have it in you, and that's fine. Just take a break, get a good night's sleep, just come back the next day and try again. And that's just part of the process. It happens sometimes. You're not always going to be like fully motivated and like fully able to create stuff. Sometimes you just need to take a break, get some sleep, come back the next day, and then there you go. You'll be fine. A lot of times when that happens too, like on the days where I struggle to create art and I take a break and come back the next day, a lot of the times on the day I come back, that's when I get something that's really, really cool and that I've never, like, something that's totally new and different. And I don't know why it works that way, but a lot of the people that I've talked to have that same kind of thing where, like, you're struggling one day, it's really tough, you get some sleep, come back the next day, and then for some reason, all of a sudden, everything's just flowing and, like, things just kind of happen, and you just make something really cool that you didn't expect. Yeah, so take a break, get a good night's sleep, that's important. Get, full 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep if you need to. Come back, try again. That'll make it much easier. It happens all the time where it's tough to get started, and it's tough to come up with some kind of idea of something you need to make. So hopefully this helps you, minimize the times where you just have to give up. But if you do all that, you'll have a lot more ideas, and your chance of getting something cool when you sit down to make something will be much, much higher than if you don't do these things, I think. So yeah, hopefully that helps with getting ideas and all that. You don't have to like fully optimize your feed to be only giving you ideas too. If this isn't something you struggle with, like if you already have ideas, then you don't need to do that. But if it's something you struggle with, I would recommend, curating your feed to be mostly, or if not entirely, just content that's going to help you get more ideas. Yeah, because it's just free inspiration. That's it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Let's get on with the rest of these.